Okay, Mr. Gheorghiu, so we have the last game
Our
against...
last meeting, our
your
last meeting in Siegen,
Yes.
the important Siegen Olympiad, and we have another story here also, because I told you every game with Bobby was a story like this. Yes.
Yeah.
So starting with the beginning, it was an important game for our team because it was decisive in the, for the whole tournament. If we didn't lose the match, the Olympic team from Romania had a good result, somewhere in the middle of the tournament, something like the 7th, 8th place or something. But it was very good because our team was not as strong as the others, So, okay, I had to play Bobby, and already after this many fantastic results that he had in meantime, you see, between 66 and 70, everybody was considering him already as unofficial world champion, and everybody waited to see what happens in the candidates matches and in hoping for the the last meeting against Spassky was between he was world champion. Spassky was already world champion. Yeah.
And I see a lot of people watching this game was like...
Yes, against Bobby, yes. And it was also more interesting because they met in Siegen. And surprisingly enough, Spassky won. And as
I think
told
we have
you,
a picture from that game.
Yes.
Let me show you. Oh, sorry.
The other one, the other one. Both of them are playing, and I was watching. I was standing and I was watching the game.
So here, actually, Bobby lost this game.
Bobby lost this game against Spassky, and surprisingly enough, as I told you some other time, they came to Reykjavik later on to play their official match, for the World Championship. And Spassky was the only player in the world until then.
Yes.
Against whom Bobby didn't win a game. I mean, he didn't win against Spassky until Reykjavik. Never, And then in Reykjavik, he destroyed his opponent. He was the new world champion there. And everybody understood that from now on, Bobby was officially the world champion and the best player in the world.
Sure.
Okay, that was the first part of the story.
Okay.
So coming back to our game.
Yes.
Okay, we have to play. And before the game, I mean, we have to start 5-10 minutes before the round. We came, we are looking at each other, we spoke a little bit together and it was a very big interest from all these children who everybody was looking at our, future game. And so all the children of the Romanian embassy, all the children, of the organizers and so on, hoping to get, the signature of Bobby, his autograph and so. Yeah. He was waiting to see what happens. Okay, so they came with some small papers, to me, hoping that I present the papers to Bobby to get his autograph. And so Bobby was smiling and waiting to see what happens. Finally, the chief referee comes and he is ready to start the game.
Yeah.
And I told him, Bobby was also, hearing all this, and I said, okay, I ask you a small favor, you start, of course, my clock, of course, because I was playing with white. But Grandmaster Fischer, you see the big interest in all the children and so on, he has to sign the autographs and so on. That was okay, we continue with our normal game. And now comes the big surprise because everybody was, looking as Bobby, respect and so on. And so the chief referee said, no, we started the whole Olympiad with 5 minutes more. I mean, a little bit later, because we give the chance to Grandmaster Bobby, to Fischer, to sign all the autographs. Okay, Bobby very, content. He signed the autographs. The Russians didn't appreciate very much the idea. But okay, of course. And okay, we start the game. Finally, after he gave all the autograph, everybody was very happy and so on, children very happy. So we start the game. Again, we play d4, knight f6, and this time, Bobby, who in the first encounter, he played Nimzovich, you remember, in Havana.
You played
this
with
time,
white.
I played with white this time, and he played King's Indian, his best opening, King's Indian, g6, okay. So e4, d6, f3, and now we have the Zemish. His favorite, King's Indian, my favorite, Zemish, okay. Yeah. And now, here, c5. c5 is very good move. Even a little bit later, after castle and bishop e3, the modern line here is to give a pawn with c5 for a small initiative with black. This is the difference. Here he plays immediately c5, allowing the queen from d1 to trade the queen from d8 with a very small initiative for white, if you look at the position. But in reality, white has very little advantage, very small advantage, but nothing clear, you see, like this. So, okay, you take in c5, he takes in c5, queen takes d8 check, king takes d8, bishop e3, knight f d7. Now, okay, knight g2, very important. If you make immediately castle, if you play castle immediately, he can play probably, bishop takes c3, and you have a bad structure. And he can play later on for a win with black. I mean, he takes there, plays b6 afterwards. He doesn't give you the pawn from c5, and he continues with knight c6, e6, bishop, king e7, and so on. And finally, you have a very unpleasant pawn structure with c3, c4, and maybe you lose the pawn c4. And that is, if you lose the pawn c4, you lose the game, Yeah. So, okay, you have to be careful already. You don't give him the possibility. You play first knight g, e2. Okay. So, knight c6, now castle, now b6. You threaten already to take the pawn from c5, b6. And now you continue the plan, f4. This is, therefore, white is considered to have a small edge, f4. A little bit more space, like this. So, g3, knight a5. He wants the pawn, no? And now bishop h3, of course, e6, otherwise it's too much now. Now b3. Well, the game is more or less even, but now you have to see how you continue, both of them, you see. Now king e7. Now if you want to force a little bit too much, you play f5. But f5 is very risky against Fischer, of course, because the game is very complicated. You don't have anything very clear. And finally, you can have a small problem with the square e5. If you let him come with the knight in e5, to have a piece in e5, then black has a very good game later on, Yeah. If you don't want this, you play like in our game, rook d2, which is more quiet, but, if you look at the position, very good for white, Rook d2, rook f8, h d8, rook d1, and now black agrees to trade two pieces on d8. More or less, drawish the game, even. Yeah. Okay. So we play like this, knight e4. Now we trade many pieces, we take the in e4, he takes in e4. We take twice in d8. Well, in a normal game between very strong grandmasters, this game would be draw here, Yeah. Well, this is, from this moment, Bobby tries to play for a win. You see? Yeah, okay. So, knight c3, now bishop h1, very strong move. And black has a very small edge already. Now, I realized the fact that black has a good game already. I wasn't very sure that black is a little bit better. But I understood that white has nothing. I mean, white has, a normal game, but no advantage.
But why black is something?
You'll see why. You see. So, from now on, you have to try to trade the white bishop from h3 against the black bishop from h1. First of all, it's not very easy, you see. His idea is to free the position by playing f6 himself and have a very strong bishop from g7, comes, on the free diagonal from f6, controlling a little bit the central squares. And therefore, white has some very small problems. You have to play very well to keep the game even like this. Well, If you look at the position, you don't realize that it's complicated. White normally has no problems at all, I mean, nobody has problems. The game is continues to be even, here. Yeah. But first of all, you have to try to trade the bishop, you see. It's f6, okay. So now you have to take. He takes, okay. King d2, normal. Everything is normal. Knight c6, bishop d3. Now you want to come later on in e4, but you can't come immediately because you lose a piece. If you play bishop d3, bishop e4, you lose a piece already. Bishop takes c3 check and you lose a piece.
Say again, sorry.
The idea from white is to play bishop d3 and later on bishop e4.
Yes.
But immediately it's impossible because when you come bishop e4, you lose a piece after bishop takes c3 check.
Yes.
So you have to be careful. So, okay, you play bishop d3, he plays knight b4. Now the first moment where you can go wrong, you lose a piece with bishop e4. So the best move is bishop b1, of course. Yeah, bishop b1. So now bishop g7, he waits, you see. Now, knight d1, you try to come on the other way by f2 and then later on bishop e4, you see. Mm-hmm, okay. Mm-hmm. Knight d1 is okay. Now king e7, knight f2, bishop g2, f3, pardon, bishop f3. Now a3, knight c6. And now finally you can trade bishop, you see. Now, again, it seems no problem at all, you see. He takes, you take. Good. Now, he forces you to play a4. Normally, must be okay because all the pawns are on white, you see.
Yes.
And he has black bishop. But you have a small weakness. Before a5, you see. And the structure, even if he has the pawns on black, the structure is a little bit better for him. Not for white, but for black, you see. It's a very strange position, you see.
Yeah, because usually if you have...
Usually the position is no problem at all for white. But here you have a small problem in this position. So, okay, now he trades the second pawn. Now you have to take. He takes. And I told you, you have to play the best moves in every position to keep the balance like this, Knight g5, h5 again, a little bit more space. Knight f3, very good, because knight f3 controls the central squares, you see. e5 and d4 is very important. Now you have to move the bishop, yeah? Or play king e6, okay. Now you don't play knight takes e5 because afterwards the black king comes very quickly, you see. He can take with the knight, controlling the squares, or even with the bishop or the king, because after knight takes e5, king takes e5, bishop f4 check. After king e4, you have many problems and you are probably lost already with white, you see. If he has time to play knight d4, is enough, you see. So, you have to be very careful. After king e6, good. King d3 is move by move, you see. Move by move. Okay. King f6. Bishop f6, pardon. Now, you play h3. You take control of the squares. You see, this is the problem. Now, if he gives check in e5, it's nothing. You can trade the knights. It's okay. The game is even, or a little bit better for white already, because he has 3 pawns on black on the other side. So now he plays king f5. Again, very, very good move. He has a small edge, bishop f4, the best move, of course. And now he has time to play g5. Now you have to put the bishop in c7, no? g4, again, a little bit more space always, you see. He takes, white takes, black takes, knight d4. Now it's clear, white has a small problem, but he controls, always the position is enough for the equality, At the first look, I mean, it's not clear at all, but okay. Now, again, if you play knight e4, for instance, you see?
Yes.
After knight e4, he has a good chance, maybe, if he plays knight d4. Or he moves the bishop somewhere, and again, control. Better for him, you see. Okay, you move back the knight in c6, and white plays knight b1, the best move.
Why?
Because now, if he plays knight
E4?
to d4,
D4?
you have time to play b4. He can't move. You see he can't take because he loses the knight.
Yes.
And if he goes back, for instance, to e6 or to c6, okay, to c6, you play b5 or even taking in c5 and it's okay. It's draw at least. Yeah? Even so, it's okay. But if he goes to e6, to e6, you have time to play bishop d6 and you control, the central squares and it's enough for draw, Now, if he takes him before you take back, every pawn that you can trade is okay, is better for white than taking the chances to make a draw, to have an even game. So, right, he continues by playing normally, and the best moves here, he waits also. Bishop h6. And now, knight c3, knight b4 check, king e2, and bishop g7. And now knight b5, and now knight c6. Knight c6. Well, the problem now is that you have to find the best move. The problem here is that you have to choose a move, And the best move is unbelievable, but in endgame is a rule. You can't play against the rules in endgame and against Bobby Fischer or any other very strong grandmaster, you see. It's not good to give a piece for 2 points. It's completely against the rules. But yes. Now it's okay. You give the piece and you take at least 2 or 3 points. And it's enough to have an even game, you see. And I gave the piece, but the problem was the story before our adjourned game. Here, the game was adjourned. And we continue tomorrow. Yes.
Yeah.
So now we come back to the hotel. Everybody analyzes the position. And, the Romanian team told me, okay, the position is completely draw. We don't have anything to analyze. What can we analyze here is such a simple position.
Yes.
Yeah, simple position. Completely draw is no problem, you see. So we went to sleep, and in the middle of the night, somewhere 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, I had an idea that something went wrong and it's not okay, the position. So I analyzed again, and I saw that taking in a7 was the only good chance to make a draw. If you don't
sacrifice,
if you don't sacrifice in a7, you have very good chance to lose the game. Right. For instance, if you play here, let's say the normal move is king d3.
Yes.
The most normal move. Now, after bishop e5, you have to take in e5. And he takes with the king. And now the problem is he takes back with the king. The only good move is king e3. And now after a5 is zugzwang. Black wins.
After the what?
a5. The pawn to a5. Pawn a7 to a5. Okay. Now you have to move something. But what? Why can you lose? You have to move knight c3, and now after knight c3, knight d4, and you are zugzwang because he has always an extra move, you see. If you don't play immediately knight c3, and you play, for instance, king d3, no?
Yes.
Yeah, king d3, normal move. Now again, after knight d4, you have to move something, but what? You have to take in d4, no? Here, you have to take in d4. And now he takes in d4. And look at the position. Now you are lost because you have to move against something. What? Yeah. The only move is, 3 against 2. You can't move something. Of course, it's clear that black is much better. If you move the king, it's enough for him to come with the king in e4. And that wins.
Yeah.
You see? So the only way to do it is to give a piece in a7 for 2 pawns.
Wow.
Well, so now, okay, I decided that it's the only way to do it. We analyzed together, Ciocârlă with myself, because he was my roommate in that championship. He didn't believe his eyes also, at 6 o'clock in the morning, you see like this. So you can't be serious. You want to give a piece for 2 pawns against Bobby Fischer? I said, well, the only way. So we agreed it's the only way. The problem was that the moment when I took in a7, the Romanian delegation was, crying that I was, behaving like a traitor of the country and so on, because I gave, the piece like this, offering the point to Fischer, of course.
Yeah, losing the game.
Losing the game on purpose like this. Well, the same persons came back after 2 hours. They saw that everything was okay, that we signed the sheet, that everything was very well, I was declared, a hero of the country, and
so from traitor to hero,
important person of of Romania. Okay, the same person, very nice, yeah.
So
coming back without joking to the same position, I took in a7, he took in a7. Now the game is draw. Yeah. So I played a5. It's forced draw here. Yeah.
But why not take this pawn?
Well, this is the same. After knight a5, he takes back one pawn, but it's enough to make a draw. But a5 is better, a5, because now it's threatening already a6. The only move is to come knight before knight b8, because if white plays a6, black is lost, you see.
Okay.
Yeah. So I took, now he comes back, and now I played knight bishop d6, and after king e6, bishop f4, he played bishop f8, yeah. He tries a little bit, Bishop d2 is the best move, and now bishop d6. Now, again, the best move is king d6, centralizing the king. I mean, you want to come to e4. It's enough. Even if he takes now in g3, you have time to play b4. And you try to play for win a little bit with white, If you have time to go back with the 3 pawns, it's definitely, you have a very good chance to try to win. But of course, he plays bishop d6, king e4, and bishop f8. He gives you the move. I mean, you played c5. Yeah, I played c5, of course. And now he gives back the piece. And this is draw, of course. And then here we agree to a draw. This is the long story of the whole game, which is very interesting. And now, the last interesting moment after the game, we analyzed together. And he asked me, smiling, how long did it take me to find a way to find the sacrifice, knight takes a7. I said, okay, a few hours, 2-3 hours like this in the night. And he continued to smile, you see. And the problem was that in that moment, he was clearly the best player of the world, number one, of course, but I was in the first, 15, 12, 20 in the world, of course, also very strong.
Yeah.
The difference was not as big as,
It is on the elo.
Yeah, and on elo, yeah. And later on, of course, I came also in the first 10, third in the world, and so on. But in that moment, it was like this. He continued to smile, and I said, and you? How much time did you do it? I said, okay, 2 minutes, because all the rest loses immediately. Can you imagine? 2 minutes, yeah.
In 2 minutes?
Yeah, the difference between very strong grandmaster and the best player in the world, see? Now you can imagine the force of Bobby Fischer. No?
So you already knew that everything else was losing for you, and
yes, I was analyzing, 2-3 hours, and I realized that everything is hopeless if I play some other moves. You see, yeah. Wow. Well, unfortunately, after this, we didn't have a chance to meet again. And the last time I saw it in person like this was in Philippines in '73, when he was invited by President Marcos to visit and open the big tournament like this, because he was already world champion. And he was invited, he was staying about three weeks, and he was giving simultaneous all over and so on. He was very nice, but it was the last occasion that we could meet. And I took an interview with him in Philippines. The interview is published in our book and so. And coming back to our game, finally, after our game from Siegen, he gave me this photo, and with a very nice...
Here very nice in Siegen?
In Siegen, yes.
He give you this picture?
This picture with some very nice dedication, my friend and so on.
This was on the back of the picture?
Yes, right. Yes. So it was unfortunately our last meeting with the legendary Bobby Fischer. Well, I consider him always, and I consider him even now, the best player, of the world ever. I mean, the GOAT. I mean, the name they give him now, the greatest player of all times. Well, this is my opinion. Everyone can have his personal opinion, but I could have this opinion, which is maybe subjective a little bit, but playing with 9 grandmasters who were all of them world champions, you can see the difference. And by far in that period, Bobby Fischer, considering the best results of each one of them, the best period, from Bobby, from Kasparov, from Karpov, from everybody else, Botvinnik, Tal, Spassky, Petrosian, and so on. It was clear that Fischer was the best ever, in my opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you have a very good opinion because
because I played all of them personally.
You played all of them and you met all of them.
Yes.
And you study all of them.
Of course. Yes. So it was a pity that he is no more, that he died, he disappeared. But anyway,
but at least we have very good memories of
yes, of course.
His games, and
everyone else, even the guys, I mean the players that didn't know him personally, everybody can be really grateful because Fischer changed the world of chess, the chess world.
In a good way.
I mean, in a good way, the best way. I mean, if everybody now has the best conditions, the best possibilities to play, the best prices, everything is better now, is only because of him.
Of his demands.
Yes. He changed everything,
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Gheorghiu, for sharing with us all these
I told
nice
you, it's
memories.
A long story, but very nice one, very beautiful one.
True.
With him, yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.